Sports Center.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Colonial Sports Center. I'm Kevin Pacha, and joining me this evening is Casey Earlwine. Casey, we have so much basketball to talk about, but we also got some other sports.
Yeah, we've got lacrosse to talk about, too. We've got softball making an appearance today. But the main focus here today is basketball. And Kevin Pacha, I know you have an update on the current men's basketball game against IUPUI.
Yes, men's basketball at IUPUI. They currently trail 53-52 with just under 9 minutes left. The Colonials are shooting under 25% from the three-point line. Khalil Spear and Enoch Cheeks both have 15 points. But, Casey, this is not what you want to see out of a team that just beat the top two teams.
Yeah, I don't know how it's possible for you to beat the top two teams in the Horizon League and proceed to be losing to the bottom team. I just am so confused by this performance.
Not sure. I hope the Colonials can pull that one out because it would be a massive letdown loss. Now, earlier this evening, actually just a couple hours ago, the Colonials women's basketball team took on IUPUI in Indianapolis, and the Colonials were trying to stack up wins after their win over Milwaukee, but the Colonials fell by a score in a high-scoring affair, 83-69. RMU had cut it to as little as 3 before a run by IUPUI put it away. Jasmine Turner finished with 21 points and 6 rebounds and 3 blocks, and Destiny Perkins had 20 points and made 4 threes. Daniel Vuletic and Simone Morris both in double figures for the Colonials.
And back to men's basketball, they did play Youngstown State earlier in the week, the #1 team in the Horizon League, who beat RMU by 22 earlier in the season. RMU needs to win this game to get a better chance at a bye. Let's see how they fare in this game. Starting out in the first half against the Penguins. Start of the game. And first half, here we go against #1 team at home. Here we go. Spear gets through on the screen, up for the block to start the game. 40 seconds in, what a start for RMU. Now, Adrian Nelson here with the ball. Quick pull-up three for the Penguins, knocks it down. Ice cold by the Penguin from distance to get Youngstown back up top. Now, Enoch Cheeks spins, glides, and one layup. What a drive there by Enoch Cheeks, and they are fired up, the Colonials. Now Penn sliding on a fast break up to Miles Hunter for 3, bullseye on the basket. That would be right around the end of the first half. Colonials be down by 4 at half. And now here we go. Last gets a hand, which leads to a steal by Corbin. Corbin back up to Last, who puts it up for the layup, and that is good to tie it for RMU. Getting into this game now. And Last gets it again. Puts it up with great vision to Chris Ford, who rumbles and bumbles up for the slam. RMU with the lead in the second half. And now up and another fast break here. It's Josh Corbin, stops, pull up, 3, bang! 48-43 Colonials with under 15 to go. Colonials on fire. Now pulling away even more. Corbin, he's got the ball again. I'm getting a sense of deja vu on this fast break because he pulls up for 3 again and sinks it. 57-43. Now last play. Corbin spins. Oh my goodness, he didn't. He did. And RMU would win against the top team in the state, or not the state, my bad, in the Horizon League, because Josh Corbin again, 5 for 7 from 3. 83-64 win for the Colonials to put them at the #6 seed. What a win for Andy Toole.
Now we're going to go back a couple of more days after the Colonials beat the Youngstown State Penguins. A couple days ago, before that, they took on the Milwaukee Panthers at home, the, at the time, #2 team in the Horizon League, which would end up, if they were able to win, their biggest win in Horizon League play so far this season, obviously before the Youngstown State win. Let's see if the Colonials were able to beat the Panthers. We're going to start things off in the first half. Colonials taking on the Panthers at the UPMC Event Center. Stephon Walker will eventually get the ball, and he'll find Michael Green III. Gets bumped. Probably should have been a foul. Jackson Last. He takes a 3 and misses, but Khalil Spear, super athletic. He gets the bucket and the foul. Gets the Colonials on the board. Spear's athleticism really showing out there. A little bit later, Milwaukee on the inbound, going to find Kentrell Pullian in the corner, and he'll pull up. He fakes out MG3 and drains the 3. Ties the game at 8, much to the dismay of Andy Toole. Tied at 21, Khalil Spear goes to work inside, gets another bucket and the foul. Spear would finish with 14 points for the game. Now, Jackson Last with a 3, and it's good. It's money. The Colonials are up 13 nearing the end of the first half. Now, second half action. Colonials up 12 early. Enoch Cheeks, oh my goodness, he'll find the bottom of the net with that 3. But the Panthers wouldn't go quietly, trying to claw their way back. They're only down 10. BJ Freeman, he weaves his way through traffic. What a nice play there. And he'll get the bucket to fall. Colonials back up 12. Josh Corbin, you've heard his name a lot so far throughout this show. He'll drive and look to go all the way, but that is goaltending called. RMU is now up 14. And the Colonials will continue to extend their lead, up 20. Josh Corbin, he's the man of the hour here. He's going to go to work again. This time he'll be successful in his drive and layup. Corbin had 16 off the bench, and he's going to end his scoring with this acrobatic bucket and the foul. Colonials dominate at home over the Milwaukee Panthers.
Those were two incredible wins by the Colonials, and it has huge implications for the Horizon League bracket for the Colonials. Let's see how the bracket looks entering today.
Yeah, it definitely does. Those were two huge wins. And if we could take a look at that bracket, gosh, just such two big wins. And that currently has the Colonials seated at the number 6 position. Ironically, they would face IUPUI if things hold, which they're currently in a battle with. Casey, what sticks out to you most just looking at that bracket real quick?
Well, I like that RMU would have a first round home game to get the playoffs started. And I was like, you know, it should be a favorable matchup against the last place team, but I mean, now it's like, it's college basketball, is it not? Anyone can lose at any time.
Yeah,
but
especially seeing with the Colonials struggling with IUPUI tonight, you never know.
Kevin, would you rather see the Colonials keep where they're at now, or would you rather see them somehow clinch the first round bye?
Considering what they're doing against IUPUI right now, I think I'd feel a lot more comfortable if they were in the 5 seed position. Obviously, you don't get the first round home game, but you would only have to play 3 games to win the Horizon League Conference tournament, and you don't have the chance of slipping up against a lower ranked team.
Yeah, the ultimate goal is March Madness, and a bye is the best way to get there.
Now, before tonight, the women's basketball team was in action Sunday afternoon for Senior Day. Mackenzie Amalia was honored before the game, and the Colonials also took on the Milwaukee Panthers, also at the UPMC Event Center, looking to bounce back from a loss. Now, let's see some highlights from that game against Milwaukee. We are going to kick things off in the first half. I promise it's not deja vu. This is women's basketball against the Milwaukee Panthers. Starting things off in the first half. Kendall Need will get the ball inside, and she will be patient, and she will score. She will give the Panthers an early 4-0 lead. It's now 8-0, but a steal by the aforementioned Mackenzie Amalia. She will drive down the lane, but she will stop and give it to Danielle Vuletic, who finds Rebecca Duomo in the right center of the court, and she will drain a 3 to get the Colonials on the board. Colonials trying to grind their way back into this one, down just 2, but an offensive rebound and basket. Hannah Lutz pushes the deficit back to 4. Colonials would trail 17-16 at the break. Mackenzie Amalia here, she is shaken and bacon, and she dishes to Alejandra Mastral in the corner, and she'll drain a 3. Mastral would have a season-high 16. Tied at 21, Jada Donaldson will go all the way for the left-handed layup for Panthers. Later tied at 30, a mid-range jumper by Simone Morris gives RMU their first lead. Fourth quarter now, and this is a huge stretch by Natalie Johnson. She will drain 2 threes in a row. RMU would have a 4-point lead early on in the frame, but Milwaukee wasn't about to let that lead balloon. Cami Pepler, she's going to go by Mastral, and she'll go all the way and get that layup to fall. Under a minute now, Milwaukee is looking to take the lead, but the Colonial defense, which was fantastic all game, continued to clamp down during this sequence. Milwaukee is just unable to get a shot off, and the Colonials will win 50-45 on Senior Day.
Now sticking with the women's basketball team, they also played against Green Bay, the number 2 team in the Horizon League earlier this week. And despite Green Bay's standing, RMU won their first ever game against Green Bay earlier this season. Let's see if they could repeat the same result. And as you can see, not even close with that. 61-37 to the Phoenix. And you see Phoenix getting on once again, 11 points, 8 rebounds, but not much of a chance there for RMU. It's been a tough season for the women's basketball team, and that loss kind of shows the gap between the teams now and where it was back in January whenever RMU beat Green Bay.
So, Casey, a busy slate of both men's and women's basketball, where we did just take a little bit of a deeper look at the women's basketball team. So now we're going to take a look at the conference standings and the conference bracket, rather, for the women's basketball team. And currently, they sit as a 9 seed after the loss to IUPUI. Casey, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah,
it's been a really up and down season, as you said.
Yeah, up and down season. Against Oakland, the 8th seed, it gives them a more favorable matchup. They're lucky, to be honest, to not be even a little lower. But if you know, anything can happen in college basketball, as I said earlier.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been tough with the injuries.
It really has. You know, the injuries, the lack of depth, and just the inability to really have the offense sort of just the offense sort of produced at such a high level. But there's hope. We've got some scenarios. The Colonials currently sit at a 9 seed. If RMU wins on Saturday, they will be a 9 seed, as you see there. If RMU loses and Wright State wins against Detroit Mercy, they will be the 10 seed. And if both of those teams lose, the Colonials will be a 9 seed and take on the number 8 seed in the conference tournament standing bracket.
And after this, we're going to have a nice men's basketball roundtable, plus a bunch more on the way. We'll see you after the break.
I just...
Colonial Sports Center. Let's see women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something I can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Now, as Casey mentioned before the break, we are going to be tossing into a men's basketball roundtable with the team finding some recent success at the end of the regular season. It's only appropriate that we go a little bit more in depth. So we've got two awesome analysts. We've got Cam Wickline and Samuel Goldberg, and a slam dunk of a moderator in Bethany Naughton. Bethany, take it away.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm here with Cam Wickline and Sam Goldberg. How are you guys both today?
Pretty good.
Honestly, I'm kind of nervous right now with the situation that the Colonials are in. They're down 61-58 right now, and you know they're coming off of that great victory against Youngstown State, and currently right now this game is worrisome to me right now.
Seemed like a team that was just insanely hot, and now they feel like they might drop a big one that they can't afford to.
I had that feeling of a trap game going.
Yeah,
tonight.
a little bit.
So what do you think has been the key factor to their success over the top two teams that they beat, Youngstown State and Milwaukee?
Well, I'm going to have to say it's been the step up of just other players on the team. And I know that sounds a little dumb, but as many people know, they have the two-headed monster of Khalil Spear and Enoch Cheeks. But in their game over Youngstown State, Josh Corbin went 5 for 7 from 3, put up a team-high 19. Against Milwaukee, Jackson Last put up 16. And against Purdue-Fort Wayne, MG3, Michael Green, the third, put up 24 points. So it's not necessarily one person or one thing. I think it's just better team basketball, not necessarily relying so much on that two-headed monster they have.
Exactly, and just bouncing off of what you had to say, one of the key things that has just been such a huge factor for this team is the ball movement. We're seeing 8, 9, even 10 passes in the offensive zone from pick and rolls that kick out to the corner, and then they reset it back up top, and then that lulls the help defense that's in the corner to sag down a little bit into the paint, and that leaves your three-point shooters like Josh Corbin, Jackson Last wide open in the corner, and they're taking solid shots offensively, and it's like poetry in motion, the offense that they've ran against Youngstown State and Milwaukee.
And do you guys think the Colonials will make a deep run at all?
So I feel really, I'm torn because yes, this is a trap game against IUPUI, but at the same time, going into the Horizon League tournament, winning 4 of your last 5, they're on kind of a ride right now. And honestly, I just it's really hard to tell because if they do play that home game, and they advance, they will play NKU, who they've struggled at times against, and so it's really just a toss-up if they play the basketball that they played like they did against Milwaukee and Youngstown State instead of playing down to the level of IUPUI.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you would have asked me 3 hours ago, did I think Robert Morris was going to go on a run, I would have said absolutely hottest team in the Horizon League right now. This IUPUI game, I'm not sure. It almost makes me think, I know that people want them to get this bye, get the 5 seed and get the bye. I might almost want them to get the 6 seed now so they can regain a little bit of momentum against a bad team and get hot again and carry some of the momentum and then maybe make a run. I think they can do it. It's not looking as good right now as it did a couple hours ago.
And I feel like that home game will benefit them a lot because for whatever reason, the UPMC Event Center is such a tough place to play. I mean, that last game against Youngstown State,
Colonial Crazies.
The Colonial Crazies definitely came out. Big shout out to Sean Nolan for getting those Crazies together. It is just been an incredible atmosphere. Throwback to my freshman year when they were in the NEC. That's what that was. That atmosphere, night in and night out, it was absolutely incredible. And I feel like a home playoff game with that type of atmosphere would help the Colonials in the long run.
Yeah, a hot team with a crowd like that, there's not a team in the Horizon League that wants to play here right now, I guarantee it.
And how does a win or a loss affect the Colonials moving forward today?
I think a win is going to be huge into giving them some momentum. That gives them 5 straight, right?
Yeah, it'll give them 5 straight wins, and then if they do lose, I mean, still 4 of 5, but still losing to a team like IUPUI, it doesn't sit well with me going into the Horizon League playoffs. But then coming back home with an incredible atmosphere, just like the UPMC Event Center, I don't know. Time will tell to see how the Colonials will step up in the Horizon League tournament.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me, and we're going to send it right back to Kevin.
Thank you so much, Bethany, Cam, and Sam. One quick update from the men's basketball game. The Colonials are currently trailing IUPUI 68-60 with 4 minutes left. But we've talked all things basketball so far. It's time to switch gears to lacrosse. After falling to Ohio State in their opening game of the regular season, the Robert Morris women's lacrosse team looked to rebound as they took on the Cincinnati Bearcats, another Ohio team. The Colonials took on Cincinnati, and they looked to get their first win, but they were unsuccessful, falling 24-9. Cameron Callaghan had 5 goals, and Grace Welland had 4 goals for the Bearcats. Chelsea Coleman had 3 goals, and Colleen Tift 1 goal and 1 assist for the Colonials, who fall to 0-2 in regular season play so far.
Now switching over to men's lacrosse, they played earlier in the week St. Bonaventures in their home opener. RMU men's lacrosse with big expectations this year. Let's see how they fared against St. Bonaventures. You can see big win for the Colonials, 15-6. Conan Lynch for Bonnies had 3 saves, 8 goals allowed, a 27% save percentage. Yikes. David Burr off the bench for the Colonials, 3 goals, 2 assists. Incredible goalie performance by Nate Randall for RMU, 12 saves, only 5 goals allowed. All around, great performance by RMU. We'll have more on David Burr and their next game against Canisius later in the show.
So after that big win and the big expectations that are placed on this men's lacrosse team, we've got yet another analyst in studio as Nate Fennell is here to join us live in studio to answer some questions about the men's lacrosse team. Nate, first of all, thank you for joining us. I will get right into the questions. What did you think of the dominant performance against St. Bonaventure?
Glad to be on, and well, it was a very tightly contested contest through the first 9 minutes as they were tied 2-2. But then RMU would go on a 6-0 run with just 3:44 remaining in the half and to go up 8-2. Matt McShay would then connect with Matt Duncan on a beautiful back and forth play to score with just 2 seconds remaining in the half. They would take a 10-4 lead into the locker room. Jake Rosa would come out and score the first goal of the half, the second half that is, for St. Bonaventure to cut the lead to 10-5. But then RMU would go on another run as they would go on a 4-0 run to make it 14-5 with just 2:58 remaining in the game. The Colonials would win 15-6. 2 things that really stood out to me was their ability on the extra man as they were 4 for 6 and St. Bonaventure was 0 for 4. RMU collected significantly more ground balls as they collected 35 to St. Bonaventure's 23.
Nate, who has been the MVP so far in the first 2 games of the regular season?
Well, the offense has been very well spread out so far this season, as David Burr scored 3 goals in the game against St. Bonaventure, and he has 5 points on the season so far. Eric Swaggerty ties Burr for the team lead in points and had a goal in each of the first 2 games and had 3 assists in the game against St. Bonaventure. 4 players are all right behind them with 4 points so far. but the player who stands out to me most is the goalie Nate Randall. He has 28 saves and only 14 goals allowed, which is good for a .667 save percentage. If he keeps up this performance, I don't think there's many teams that will be able to stop the Colonials.
Yeah, so speaking of that, how do you think the Colonials can continue the success through the rest of the regular season and even into the conference tournament?
Well, no doubt they've been very impressive so far to start the season, and they've shown the ability to work as a unit on both sides of the ball. But just as Coach McDonald told me in our post-game interview after the win against St. Bonaventure, the team just needs to focus on the day-to-day, and the goal is to get better every time they step on the field. The only way they can accomplish that, though, is by working harder than they did on the previous day. The team cannot get complacent, and they must keep in mind that they have a higher ceiling than they expect. If the team continues to work hard, they will be able to have a great success during this season and may even bring home some hardware.
Nate Fennell, thank you so much for joining us. And Casey, we've still got plenty more to talk about on this show, don't we?
Yeah, we've got an RMU basketball player receiving a special award, and we've got what's going on with softball. Stick around to find out.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. And as we mentioned, one of the men's basketball players received an award. With the recent men's basketball success on the court, sometimes the success off the court can go overlooked. That's not the case for Khalil Spear, who was recently named to the Horizon League All-Academic Team. Casey, a great award for a great player.
Yeah, huge respect to him. I mean, all student athletes have such tight schedules, and sometimes school doesn't seem as important, but for Khalil to keep up on his academics like that, it's really nice to see. And I mean, KP, I hear it's not going great for you. I mean, maybe you got a new tutor on the way? I don't.
Well, it's not going great. It may not be going great for me. It's not going great for the Colonials either, as they currently trail 74-67 with, I believe, just over 2 minutes left.
Not great at all. But we do have some great softball content. Finally here, it's softball season. They play this weekend in South Carolina in the Low Country Tournament. The team has some tough matchups. We got here game 1 against Rutgers, game 2 against Syracuse. 2 big schools. Very important to see how they stand against bigger schools like this going into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And their schedule in the Low Country Classic will continue on Saturday, the 25th. They have game 1 against Syracuse, 12:30, and Charleston at 5:30. And then they play Charleston on Sunday the 26th at 1:30 p.m. But hey, if you want to stay up to date on all things Colonial sports, you can go to colonialsportsnetwork.com. The student writers over there have you covered with everything you need to know about RMU athletics, game previews, game recaps, podcasts, feature stories, and more. Twitter at RMU_CSN, Instagram, Colonial Sports Network, and colonialsportsnetwork.com is where you need to go.
And right after this, top 5 plays is finally on the horizon, along with our games to watch. Stick around right after this.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I first saw Turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this like deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. It's time for the best segment of the week, at least in my opinion. I'm not sure about you, Casey. Top 5 plays in Colonial Sports this week. Here we go. And we will start with number 5. It will be women's basketball versus Milwaukee. We talked about this game already earlier in the show. Colonial's down 8-0. Mackenzie Amalia, she steals the ball, and she's going to drive into the paint and give it up to Danielle Vuletic, and she'll find Rebecca Duomo for a 3. Bang, that gets the Colonials on the board.
Yeah, I'm going to need to see team play like that in the Horizon League tournament. Now on to number 4 with men's basketball. Arguably the greatest player in the world, Josh Corbin, gets the ball. He's got it on for a second, finds a lane to drive through, puts it up for the layup, and that is good against Milwaukee. What a play by Josh Corbin.
He had a fantastic last couple of games. Number 3, back to women's basketball. Mackenzie Amalia, she's shaking and she's baking, and she'll find Alejandra Mastral in the corner, who drains a 3. She finished with a season-high 16 points, a nice bounce-back game for her.
Now on to number 2. We're going back against Youngstown State. It's last up to Chris Ford, and bang! He thunders his way to an electric slam, an electric win for the Colonials in this big matchup. Youngstown Penguins just waddle around too much in this game.
Chris Ford has played some unbelievably efficient minutes for the Colonials as of late. Men's basketball, Josh Corbin, he's in a world of trouble. How did he get that shot to fall? A 3-pointer. Robert Morris beats Youngstown State. That's your top play of the week.
They call him Josh Curry.
He's been so good lately. Now, Casey, we've talked about the top 5 plays in the past and a lot of stuff in the past. Now we've got to look to the future. Casey, what is your game to watch this week in Colonial Sports?
Well, for me, I've got this weekend men's lacrosse travels all the way up to cold Buffalo, where they play Canisius, and their last matchup, RMU put up 23 goals against them. Watch out for David Burr for RMU. He came off the bench in both games, but he leads the team in points, has 0 turnovers or penalty minutes. Now, for the Golden Griffins, they have 1 star player, Colin Kelly. He's got 8 goals in 3 games. If anyone's going to take down the Giants that are RMU in men's lacrosse, it's going to be Colin Kelly.
I will be staying on the field to women's lacrosse. They take on Bucknell Saturday, February 25th at noon. RMU player to watch is Chelsea Coleman. She's had 3 goals on just 6 shots this season. And my Bucknell player to watch is Taylor McLean, 1 goal and 8 assists this season. She's been ultra efficient for Bucknell. Well, I think that'll just about do it here for Colonial Sports Center. But actually, Casey, we've still got a little bit of time.
Let's talk about how are they losing against IUPUI?
I think the game's over. 76-73. The Colonials are trying to make a final second comeback, but IUPUI is currently up by 3. It's just a massive letdown loss, especially after beating the top 2 teams in the Horizon League. It's a huge letdown loss.
It literally does not make sense. I mean, Josh Corbin, we saw he was best player on the earth for a minute there.
Yes,
he was 0 for 5 from 3 at one point. He could not make a single thing.
No, and
all collapsing. I'm not sure how.
I don't know either, but I mean, I guess after all that momentum, eventually you got to go back down somewhere. There's nowhere to go but down. But for the Colonials, geez, IUPUI, a team that they may have to play again at home in the first round of the Horizon League Conference Tournament. I don't know. It's tough.
I think they can still make a run, obviously, with a team like this. I mean, obviously, you still got stars like Enoch Cheek, Khalil Spear.
Absolutely.
And with hot wins like this, the team can definitely, they got a chance to make March Madness.
Yes, they
I know
do.
we'd all love to see it.
That's all we have tonight for Colonial Sports Center. For Casey Irwine, I'm Kevin Plodge, and for everyone upstairs and downstairs, we'll see you next time on CSC.